Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we uncover the leadership life hacks that help you to experience breakout performance faster and rocket to success. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbaugh.
Need a powerful and entertaining way to ignite your next conference, retreat, or team building session? My keynotes don't include magic, but they do have the power to help your attendees take a leap forward by putting emotional intelligence into their employee engagement, and customer-centric leadership practices. So bring the infotainment creativity of the Fast Leader Show to your next event, and I'll help your attendees get over the hump now. Go to beyondmorale.com/speaking to learn more. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today I'm excited about the guest that I have on the show today because he's one of those folks that just always seems jolly. Al Hopper was born in St. Petersburg, Florida, born as an Army brat in an enlisted family. Al mostly grew up in Europe and Georgia. When Al's family had to move, he had to learn and adapt to new places and people. Learning how to move between social groups eventually became second nature. His wife, who he met in high school in Germany, still doesn't understand how Al can walk into a room full of strangers and walk out with new best friends. After high school, Al went straight to college, like you're supposed to, only he found out that he wasn't ready to be left on his own with his family stationed half a world away. So Al decided to do what he knew best. He went into the Army. After serving 4 years in the Army, Al worked at a small business selling and installing pool tables in Augusta, Georgia. Then Al and his wife decided to move to San Antonio, Texas, where he tried selling cars. Didn't take too long for him to figure out that wasn't a good fit for his personality. Al then joined Citibank's contact center's inbound banking team, where he piloted several initiatives before moving to help start a fraud protection unit. After there, Al progressed on to Citibank's live chat messaging team and then their social media team. While there, Al became a co-host of the weekly CustServe Twitter chat with Marsha Collier, Roy Atkinson, and Greg Orkbach. In the spring of 2015, Al finished his MBA at American Military University. Through his network, he met Sean Williams and became a co-founder of Social Path Solutions in May 2015. Al is currently Chief Operating Officer of Social Path Solutions, a digital agency with a focus on social media engagement. There, Al is able to leverage his career in customer service, education in business, and marketing, and a passion for social media to build a business he's extremely proud of. Al is grateful to always be learning about himself, his team, their clients, and their customers. Al still resides in San Antonio, Texas, and is happily married to his high school sweetheart, Ursula. They have 2 daughters, Ileana and Elise, who are 13 and 10. Al Hopper, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Al, I'm glad to have you today. And I've given our listeners a little bit about you, but can you tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you even better?
Sure. So my passion really is customer service and social media, and being able to bring the two worlds together. One of the things I've really been enjoying over the last couple of years is meeting up and tweeting up with a lot of other people in the industry at different conferences and just in general, just to have conversations to see how we can do better for customers. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? Is to build customer service for customers.
Well, you're right, it is. But there's also different approaches that people take. And you seem like one of those folks that comes from a place of abundance. Where did that come from?
I've just always been a kind of a servant leader. And I think that that's really kind of driven my need and want to really help customers get what they want. I mean, actually, that really helps businesses get what they want too, because as you can help your customers grow and get more results from your products, your business is going to grow. And so, the new toy, the new speak is, customer service is marketing. And I've really kind of lived that. The better you treat your customers, the more they're going to want stuff from you.
Now, we had talked off mic, and you had mentioned how starting Social Path Solutions, was something, of course, yes, it was a natural fit because it had your background and things in place. But you had mentioned to me that it has been amazing, just in a short period of time, how much need there is for what is social customer care. And that is, there's this whole new different channel out there, and definitely multitudes of different platforms when you start thinking about Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat. I mean, let's go on and on and on, right? But companies really just have a hard time consuming, understanding, and navigating all of that. Where do you think most of where is their biggest point of pain that you're helping solve?
It's really just having a plan on how to respond. For years, social media has been the realm of marketing and PR and kind of brand protection. And if someone says something bad about your brand, if you can't bury it, then you just kind of ignore it. But that's not the way it's really evolving. Customers are reaching out on social media. Sometimes it's because they just can't get what they want from the phones, and they feel that it's something that they need to be escalated out into the public. But more as the new generation comes on, people are now digital natives. Kids were born with phones in their hands. And so the fastest thing that they can do is to text something, whether it's text a tweet, text on Facebook, any of the other apps that are out there. And it's an on-demand service. I can tell you that I have a problem right now in the middle of my problem, and then I have to wait for you, Mr. Business, to kind of respond back to me. And so businesses haven't been prepared to be able to use social media as a social customer care channel as a main channel. It's always been an escalation channel, and we're really trying to help change that mindset.
I think, you bring up some really interesting points about all of this. I mean, I was just reading some statistics associated with Snapchat and its explosive growth over the past 12 months and the age groups that are primarily a part of Snapchat, and how, they're really consumers. They're the early consumers. And when you start looking at most businesses that are being run, I mean, these are their kids and sometimes their grandkids, and they don't have that real social connection and understanding of their world. So when you sit down with a particular client, where do you see the biggest barriers are for you to be able to do your work?
Just like you said, it's just the leadership in places now just don't understand what social media is, and they don't understand how to use it. They don't use it personally. And since they don't use it personally, they have no clue how to use it for their own business.
So if you were to give organizations out there that are kind of struggling with this whole social service, customer service thing, what's one piece of advice that you would give them in order to help them move forward?
Create a plan, move forward with that plan, and don't be afraid of making mistakes with that plan.
So if you talk about the mistakes that cause people to fall down and maybe not move as forward as quickly as they want to, where do you see those common pitfalls?
It comes from wanting to be perfect. And I think leadership in most companies, they look at it as the brand cannot make a mistake. The brand is perfect. The brand is spotless. They forget that there are people running the brand. And people are not perfect. People make mistakes. And at the same time, I think it comes to the idea that social media has been run by marketing, and marketers are typically more compensated than customer service. Don't ask me why. It's just the way it's always been. And there's that seeming lack of trust with handing over the keys to the castle to the lowest paid organization in the company. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're letting these people talk on behalf of your company on the phone or chat or email, but you don't want to let them do the same thing on social media because it's in the public's view. So are phone calls. I mean, how many times have you heard now people recording phone calls with cable companies and then playing them back and they go viral? I mean, if you were to actually take more care of the people that are your brand, then, they're going to be the ones that are the most loyal. No one wants to work in customer service because it's the lowest paid for any company, but they're the most loyal because they're the ones that feel the closest to the brand and the customer at the same time.
You bring up an interesting point because you started getting into really the characteristics of people who are in customer care. And I have found through the course of my 20 plus years of being in it that they are some of the most passionate and caring people that you would ever meet. And I have found and spoke to many executives and organizations who will say things like, I just don't understand those people over there.
Yeah. And I think it's because, too many executives don't start there. I think that's really the problem. I love seeing stories of startups where everyone does everything at the beginning. And then as the company grows, the executives and the leadership, they sometimes forget where they were and they have to go back. And the smaller companies don't have this problem because, like mine, myself and my co-founders, we take shifts doing the job that everyone does. And so we're very close and intimately linked to what our frontline team does. As you get a larger organization and there becomes divisions and different levels of the pyramid, the further up the pyramid you get, the farther away you get from the day-to-day part of the job, and you forget about it. And then if you think how, there's sometimes a revolving door of executives at the very top of these large organizations, they didn't even start with the company. They were brought in to be the executive of the company. So they have no clue where the company's been. And I think that's where you're seeing that kind of conversation where I don't know how people can answer the phone for 8 hours a day. I don't want to take a single phone call. You weren't trained to do it. It's not part of your lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, we also talked about off mic about this whole connection with the company and being able to provide services in regards to interacting with customers and knowing about the product and, having and building some of that intimacy with your clients that oftentimes, I think, as you just mentioned, executives don't even have. And you talked about a process that you have. Can you kind of quickly walk us through what that is?
Sure. So we've developed something that we call the Path to Social because we do social customer service, and we're really helping our client companies on their journey through social media. They may have started social media and kind of send out messages, and they've engaged with a marketing company, but now their customers are starting to talk back to them, and marketing companies aren't ready to deal with that. That's not what they do. And so companies are starting to feel the pain there. And what we do is we kind of have that conversation with them. We learn about their company culture. We learn about the client and customer culture. And then we help define how you would respond in a clear way. And it's not about being robotic. It's about having a goal. So let's say, we start working with a financial organization that has ATMs. And one of the common things would be, hey, Bank X, the ATM on 5th Street isn't working. Well, if Bank X doesn't have a plan on how to respond to that, then they just ignore it and they pretend it never happened. So now you've got a customer that's asking for help. Might be a pretty simple solution. Could be as simple as, thanks for letting us know, we'll restart the machine. Or, yeah, we know about that one. Can you go to this other one over here a block away? But you have to create that plan and really understand what the pain is that you're trying to solve and have a protocol for responding.
I mean, that's a great point. And that's a very simple explanation on something that, people can probably connect with. And that when you start thinking about the whole tradition of social media being on the marketing side, a marketing person wouldn't have access to any of that information.
Right.
And so
absolutely.
That's a good point. Now, when we're talking about social media, when we're talking about just customer care in general and customer experience, it could be loaded with a lot of passion. And
Sure.
One of the things that we love on the show is to talk about favorite quotes of folks because they can do just that and they can provide that passion. Is there a quote or two that you can share?
Sure. So one of my favorite quotes of all time is, "Soldier, shut up and soldier." I first read it in Starship Troopers, written by Robert Heinlein in 1954. One of my favorite books. I read it quarterly. My dad used it on me one time when he was getting ready to retire and I was starting my career. We were talking about some of the things that lower enlisted soldiers have to do that just aren't really fun. It's not really what you signed up to do. And he just said, sometimes you just got to shut up and do it. And it's a job, you're getting paid, and it's not glorious. So I looked at that and I've used that through my customer service journey over the years. Sometimes it's really just not fun to sit on a phone for 8 hours a day, listening to people yelling and screaming and calling you names personally for something you have no control over that your brand can't fix. And sometimes you just got to suck it up, buttercup, and do it.
I love that quote. And you're right. I mean, sometimes we just have to, have a little bit stiffer neck and, buckle down and just, keep going on and focus on to the next thing and do the best you can. It's a good quote for, resilience and perseverance. And thanks for sharing it. And I also, looking at your bio, and I've had the opportunity to also interview several folks who've come from that military family background, and they just always have a very unique perspective about different cultures and the whole, like you were talking about, getting, used to and connecting to folks rather quickly because you kind of had to. Otherwise, you were always alone.
Right.
So, but there's humps that we have to go through in that process. And, even when you started talking about going to the university and, realizing that, nope, I'm not ready for that. Those are humps. So is there a story that you can share that will help us all?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've had so many humps in my career, and I think the biggest one was really early on when I was still in high school. I was captain of the football team, largely because we only had 40 kids on the team, and we were a small school, and we were in Germany, so it wasn't like trying to play football here in Texas. Otherwise, I don't think I would have been riding the bench, let alone being captain of the team. But we were faced with having to play. Some of us had to play both ways. We had to play offense and defense. Some of us even had to play special teams. So we would not come off the field for 60 minutes. And it was just, we were getting beat really bad by this really big school. And it was just one of those moments where you see in the movies, we had our huddle in between plays, and it was just like everyone's just down in the dirt, and man, we're getting beat physically, we're getting beat mentally. And it was just one of those Rudy moments where, just had to step up and say some magic words. And I don't even recall what those magic words were, but it was just like all of a sudden everyone just took a jolt of Mountain Dew or something, and we were ready to go again. And I've always kept that as, something special that I've been able to do is really rally the troops on anything that I'm doing, whether it's a phone team, a social media team, my new team at Social Path Solutions. When things get rough and things start going the way that we didn't think it was going to go, I've always really been able to just kind of rally everyone together, refocus them, and really just kind of go back to the basics. Why are we here? What are we doing? All right, now let's do that. Another leadership quote, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And that's really been kind of my leadership style, is just being able to do that. It's just have a plan, get punched in the mouth, refocus, and get another plan and keep moving.
I think that's a really interesting thing. Thanks for sharing that, because I had a conversation yesterday with a potential client and, one of the folks that's on my team, and it started going sideways. And, so there was a whole lot of, we coulds that started coming into the conversation. And when you have creative folks that are having communications with one another and talking about a way forward, you could spend really an entire week talking about what if scenarios.
Sure.
And for me, I let it go on for a little while. And then I found my opportunity to reel it back in. And today I got a note from one of those folks saying, thank you.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you get passionate people in a room and they're saying either the same things in different ways and they're just skipping off each other, or they've come to just an impasse and they just can't get past whatever it is that they're talking about. And it sometimes takes a cooler mind to say, okay, guys, let's just put this on the table for now. Let's refocus. What are we really having this meeting for? And let's do that.
Yeah, I think for me, in my younger years, I would just cut it off. However, I've learned that what I had to do is show my appreciation for the conversation and the information that we had shared at that point, and then also showed and told them that it was valuable because it helped us really understand on what we needed to do next. So I tried to be really careful of, appreciating their contribution, their efforts, and even the time that, I could have easily said, hey, we're just wasting time here and let's move on. But and that's what I did when I didn't know any better in my younger years. But, I made sure that I addressed them personally before we kind of pivoted or redirected. What is one particular thing or tip or tactic that you use that you could share with our listeners?
Actually, you just said exactly what I was going to suggest. Just remember that everyone in the room is a person. They have feelings, they have desires, they have their own set of expertise. And when things start getting rough and heads start getting banged together, you do have to kind of step back and remind everyone that everyone's insight is important because not everyone sees everything the same way. We must have had a very similar meeting recently where, we're trying to refocus and trying to understand, is this a change that the firm wants to make? And one of our employees, very passionate about something, just kept going and kept going and kept going. And, he had a great point on what he was trying to present, but, it was one of those things where the meeting just couldn't keep going forward and we were going to lose all the momentum we had at that point. So just like you said, make sure that you recognize everyone as a person, and make sure that you recognize them. Yes, you have a great point. Yes, we're going to listen to you. Write it down, share it with us later. Right this moment, it's not the right time. And it solved so many problems in this meeting. We were able to move forward. And then after the meeting, I was able to huddle up with my teammate, and he said exactly that. Thank you for recognizing that I have a problem or I have a solution to a problem. And you're right. We couldn't keep going the way we were going because we were just turning it into a shouting match. And so that was, absolutely, that's the best advice I could suggest is treat everyone as a person and remember that everyone has an idea that may or may not be the right one, but they're going to be passionate about their ideas and just recognize that passion.
So you and I also had the opportunity to talk off mic about some of the things that you're working on. I know, I haven't had the opportunity because of the timing to jump into the Cuss Serve Twitter chat, but Marsha's been on the show. Marsha's going to be on the show. Roy's been on the show, and I've been in the same communities that you have been in for quite a while. We just haven't connected, so I'm really glad you're here. But I know you have a lot of things going on, and if you could just kind of give me an idea of what would be one of your biggest goals.
Wow. Biggest goals. Well, the biggest goal, of course, is to continue growing the business and trying to understand where that's going to go, because that's affecting not only myself, but right now 20 different families internally. And, that's not counting all of the businesses and their families and then all the customers. I mean, it's just an exponential growth pattern of how many people that we are affecting by this little project we call Social Path Solutions. So right now, that's really the biggest thing on my horizon. I think right up there with that is being able to spend more time with my family. My oldest daughter, Ilyana, she is in orchestra and also in, participating in Cyber Patriot, which is a really cool program that has been started to help teach young kids cyber defense skills and try to see if that's a career path that they want to take. And she's really taken to that. So really want to try to get involved with their team at her school level. And it's amazing. She's been doing it since 6th grade. And they do things like with, doing anti-hacking maneuvers in Windows 7 and Linux and all these things. And I'm blown away. I mean, when I was in college, I made a small living programming websites. But that was 20 years ago, and it's so different now. And then to see some of the things that she's learning. That's really what I want to do is be able to grow the business large enough and strong enough that I can then step back and spend some more time with the kids.
And the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. The number one thing that contributes to customer loyalty is emotions. So move onward and upward faster by gaining significantly deeper insight and understanding of your customer journey and personas with emotional intelligence. With your empathy mapping workshop, you'll learn how to evoke and influence the right customer emotions that generate improved customer loyalty and reduce your cost to operate. Get over your emotional hump now by going to empathymapping.com to learn more. All right, here we go, Fast Leader Legion. It's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. Okay, Al, the Hump Day Hoedown is the part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Al Hopper, are you ready to hoedown?
Let's do it.
All right. So what do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Believe it or not, confidence. confidence in making the right decision, and then knowing that if it is the wrong decision, that it's not going to be something I can't recover from.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
We kind of talked about it earlier. Soldier, shut up and soldier. Just do what you got to do because that's the mission at hand.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
I surround myself with the best people possible. I don't know everything. There's no way I could ever know everything, but my team can.
What do you feel is one of your best tools that helps you lead in business or life?
Just being able to talk to people as a person and not forgetting that that's what is behind business and behind customer service, people.
What would be one book, and it could be from any genre, that you'd recommend to our Legion?
I definitely would have to say Starship Troopers.
Okay, Fast Leader listeners, you can find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/Al Hopper. Okay, Al, this is my last Hump Day Hold On question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age of 25, and you've been given the opportunity to take the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you, but you can't take everything back. You can only choose one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you, and why?
I'm going to take the cheap way out on this one, and I'm going to take back with me the winning lottery numbers for when I was 26.
That is a cheap way out. Okay, so what would that do for you, Al?
Well, that would be able to hopefully give me the money to be able to do all the projects that I want to do. So I wouldn't have to worry about bootstrapping a new company. I would be able to put my family in a place where they wouldn't have to worry about wanting for money. And I think that, through having that luxury, I would be able to accomplish so much more than what I've been able to accomplish so far.
Well, Al, I hope that you can still get that lottery number, but I also have to share that you kind of also queued up that we're going to have on a future episode the author of the book called The Lottery Curse. So we'll see how that turns out. Okay, Al.
I'm listening for that one.
There you go. It was an honor to spend time with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader Legion how they can connect with you?
Sure. So the best way to reach out to me is on Twitter. So it's Al Hopper with an underscore. Please do not forget the underscore. Because you'll end up tweeting with someone who doesn't tweet back. And it's not my fault. Also, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm just Al Hopper on LinkedIn. And we also have our website, socialpathsolutions.com. We have live chat there as well.
Al Hopper, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.